So outside, in front of the cars, they asked them to like just chat for a minute in the sunset, basically to get B-roll. And
you and your reality TV knowledge, you sexy beast. Say B-roll for the listener again. Talk dirty to us.
I'm Melody Carlisle.
And I'm Sabrina Bradley.
And this is Heaving Bosoms. This is the podcast where best friends recap romance novels and other kissing media that makes us swoon, snark, and refills our cups.
Whether you've read the book or are coming in blind, we'll lay bare every delicious scene and revel in the tropes and subgenres that make romance amazing.
All right, listener, strap in and strap on. Headphones are highly recommended. Hello.
Hello, my favorite hot mess friend.
Hey, fellow hot mess friend. It's fine over here. We haven't dropped any balls.
Nope, no balls. We're juggling them.
Everybody's getting these public episodes like butter, okay? And that's really all anybody can ask me for. Okay, hey, I realized that something might be pathological for me. Are you ready?
I don't know if I am. I'm listening, though.
Do you remember how sometimes I eat Mexican hot chocolate by the puck?
Okay.
I also was reminded today that I prefer my airborne Pop Rocks style. Airborne Pop Rocks.
I'm sorry. Are you talking about
the
airborne
immune booster? That immune booster boy that comes in an Alka-Seltzer tablet?
So what do? You just hammer it into pieces and then...
No, it's not quite that intense.
Oh,
I
you just
take
put
it,
the whole thing?
Yeah, I'll just nibble on a little bit of it, and then it'll go in
so
my mouth.
You just like solid, like drinks that are intended to be dissolved.
Yeah. Sometimes
but
you gotta pop rock some.
In general, did you just say sometimes?
Sometimes you gotta pop rock some.
How many of those hot chocolates have you eaten?
2.
How many have you drank?
1.
In the past 2 weeks, how many airbornes have you drank?
None.
How many have you eaten?
2.
Okay. I am judge and jury on this one. And I stand here proudly.
Okay.
Long story short, you have a problem with eating your shit dry.
It's pathological. I didn't know this about myself.
Airborne.
Yeah.
What flavor?
The citrus
like classic?
one. Yeah. That citrus boy. Ooh, there's some orangey stuff all up in ya.
You are so interesting to me.
She's looking at me like I'm in a petri dish.
You are just... I do feel a little bit like I left you alone in a lab for a couple of weeks and this is what came out.
Yeah, that's basically what happened.
I mean, you haven't been alone in the lab, but it's very much science experiment-y where I just show up, once or twice a week and witness you.
Yeah. Yeah, you observe.
And observe. And then I go back to what I'm doing. And I come back and suddenly there's another airborne tablet missing.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah. Hey, I was about to ask everybody, in this case, are you a Sabrina or are you a Melody? Okay?
I don't know.
Because
okay, hang on.
A Sabrina just does shit boring,
No, hang on.
So Sabrina's like, is it supposed to be a drink? I'll make a drink. Whatever.
The real question is whether or not I do it boring. It's whether or not I've done it at all.
Oh, gotta boost that immune system, Sabrina. Sometimes.
Oh, I know. I have a terrible immune system. I should be. But, like, I could just eat.
Deal.
Yeah.
Just deal with it. Yeah, that's fair. Did you see that in the cult, after we had that reading conversation, people were like, are you a Sabrina, or a Melody? That was fascinating. Did you see some of the people who said, like, there are movies in their brain?
Yeah, that blew my mind. But, like, there are also so many melodies.
So many melodies.
Do you feel validated?
I did. Why do you think I'm talking about it right now?
Because you read it and you were like, I feel seen.
I do.
You make me want to go get a fucking Mexican hot chocolate puck so bad right now.
Listen, you can make your own choices. I just make good ones, is all.
Can you imagine if I didn't even like it like that, you know?
What do you mean?
If I went and opened it up and then just live on podcast took a chonk.
Yeah.
And was
no, you can't chonk. You nibble it.
Nibble.
It's a nibbling situation.
I do like a nibble, though. I'm a big fan of a nibble. It really...
Go get it. Just go.
Melody,
get the fuck out of here.
Do you realize how angry Mary's going to be at me that I still haven't drank any of the hot chocolate?
Well, this is what you're doing right now.
But
I'm white-fanging you. Go! Get out! God, it's so good.
Yeah, this is going to be a problem.
Why? Because you like it?
I like it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ha! Genius over here.
I didn't say it was a bad idea.
It was kind of sacrilege, though. Okay.
We have a book to talk about.
And we have beautiful patrons to shout out first.
And beautiful patrons.
Right? Here we go. So, hey, thank you for being part of the Patreon, Satish and Jessica V.
Oh, shit. Sorry, I got so distracted eating my hot chocolate. Thank you, Kelly B. and Sylvia K.
Allison V. and Allison M.
Liz W. and Kelly T.
Michelle L. and Meg L.
Lauren G. and Kristen. Thank you.
Thank you. That last name is the same as Chris's birth certificate name.
It sure is.
Man, I loved this book so much.
Okay, so listener, we read Devon and Kriss Plan a Wedding.
Good God.
I've had this on my TBR for years. I don't actually know when it came out, but basically since it came out, I've had it on my TBR, and I just never got around to it.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck was wrong with me?
We made mistakes.
This book was fucking incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Listener, if you have not, I feel like we say this a lot because you and I are both very enthusiastic about books we like. But seriously, listener, if you have not read this book yet,
stop it. Turn us off.
Drop the pod.
Goodbye. Unless you don't mind spoilers. If you don't mind spoilers, you know, stay on. If you're a Melody, stay on. If you're a Sabrina, get the fuck out of here and read that book. We love you.
I've come to the realization, though.
This is going to be a problem if you can't do it and talk at the same time. I can.
Could you hear me eating?
Yes! You were talking while chewing. You can't do that.
You white-fanged me into going and getting it, and now you've taken my new joy away from me.
Listen, you're the one who can't handle it, all right?
I feel like it's something that I could get a knack for, but I'm not going to do it tonight while we're on a deadline, you know?
Yeah, you got to practice it a bit and then come back when you're a pro.
Anyway, so, listener, we open up in chapter 1. Devon has received a letter, a big old fancy letter, that has been handed to her by a courier. Mm-hmm. And it turns out she applied to be on a marriage reality TV show.
Yeah. And it's the first time that TV show is doing a fully queer cast.
Yeah. And it sounds like the first time they're doing a racially diverse cast.
Really? Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. They were talking about how, like, everybody else in the, I don't know. That's how I took it. Okay. So you and I feel like, are going to have very different understandings of things that happen in this show.
Okay. Because I'm a reality TV and
you're a reality TV, and I think I've watched maybe grand total in my entire life 10 full episodes of multiple miscellaneous reality TV. No, that's not true. I watched a lot of Project Runway and America's Next Top Model growing up, but I've never seen like a couple TV show, you know?
Yes. I'm so sorry. I fan cast this in my brain, and now I'm trying to find the Instagrammer who I cast as Devon. Okay, her name is Dahl. She's a burlesque person, and she does a burlesque show at the Brooklyn ripped bodice store sometimes. She's incredible. Her Instagram handle is at BRWN paper DOLLI, brown paper dolly. She's wonderful, and she is my Devon.
Oh.
Right? Didn't I do a good job? Good job, Melody. Great job, Melody. Great job.
Yeah, I could go deep down that that rabbit hole, so I'm just going to shut that tab.
Yeah, you got to shut
go back to it later.
And then the other person
you
that I
cast both of them?
Yeah, I did in my brain. Well, this started because Susie was just in my head the whole time I was reading. And then I started thinking about Kris, and I remembered that my favorite season of The Ultimatum, Netflix's show where they take a couple and one of them wants to get married and the other one doesn't, and then they swap partners and then like decide whether or not they want to come back, was the queer season. It's incredible television. And my favorite, above all else, person on that is named Mal Wright. And their Instagram handle, well, her Instagram handle, I'm pretty sure she's she, her, is IGOBY Mal.
Oh.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. Now, I don't know whether or not Mal is Afro-Latinx, but she's the person that I thought about the whole time, and I really think that she could pull off some very sexy Spanish if she tried. Yeah. You know, that's all. That's all.
Yeah, so one of my favorite things, just before you even jump into it, is that all of the Spanish in this book was not translated. Right. And that made me so fucking happy.
Same.
Like, I love when they don't translate it. You don't have to. You know what I mean? Like, it was beautiful. And
yeah, I completely agree.
Like, I straight up, okay, we haven't met Kris yet, but like.
Holy wow.
Kris from Get. Kris is my type. To a T. With the tattoos and the piercings.
Yeah.
And just the
dangy.
Irreverent, sexy, and funny.
And the care.
Thoughtful.
Yes.
Kind.
Oh.
Okay, so let's get back to this. So we find out that the reason Devon went on this show is because she's not out of the closet, and this is the shove that she needs to come out to her extremely religious family.
Yeah. Her Baptist family.
Whoa. Okay, Devon, that feels like
that feels like deep end stuff. You know?
Yeah.
Granted, I really did like the fact, because this is some shit I would pull, maybe. I really did like the fact that she was like, one of the reasons I'm doing it is because my mom can't make a scene in front of a ton of cameras.
I was laughing at that for sure. Yeah. Well, because her mother has a certain appearance that she must meet.
She doesn't want anybody to know that they have any family problems at all, ever. They are a perfect family.
Yes.
Okay, so Devon is chosen for this show, and she's extra excited about it because not only is it a queer season, but she says that people who look like her don't get a lot of representation, especially on things like reality dating shows. Because she's femme, she's fat, she's a Black lesbian, she is just amazing all the way around. And she thinks that she's going to be the biggest person on the show, and she's delighted to see that she's not even the biggest person on the show, and she's so excited about that. Oh,
it was super cute.
Yeah.
And then while they're at this meet and greet party, which to be clear is the first time they're being filmed, we get introduced to Kris from across the room with her sexy hair and her sexy tattoos. And what is it about a queer woman in a short sleeve button down?
Oh.
That is like fucking kryptonite. It's been a while since I felt this gay. You know what I mean?
I hear you. Yes.
Wow. This is one of those moments where I'm like, wow, I am very sad right this very second that I live in small town, hella Bible Belt. I was like, where the hotties at, though?
Yeah. One of the other characters, I loved all of them, but one of the other characters on Queer Ultimatum, is called Xander. And wow, they can rock a button-down short sleeve or not, you know?
Interesting.
A mess.
You keep going.
Okay, so they're at this party, and when Kris walks in, Devon is so gobsmacked that she has a huge coughing fit. Like she has her drink goes down the wrong pipe because she gasps. And then she has a coughing fit and like tries to run into the kitchen to escape and not have anybody see. Except, oh yeah, Sabrina. Yeah. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pull up pictures of these people on the video so that everybody can see while we're talking about them.
I have to shut this down.
You have to shut it down.
Oh my God. Why are they both so hot? I am just so into mask queer women.
I know. You haven't
God.
even seen one of my other favorite
No.
queer women.
So moving on.
I'll send her to you later. She is the best.
No, what's going to happen is you're going to forget, and then you're going to start editing, and you're going to remember, and
you're
then
going to
you're
find
going
this
to
out
send
next
it
week.
to me out of nowhere, and then
Okay.
I'm going to be broken.
Sabrina, I just need you to know that this woman that I'm talking about does almost break up with someone because they don't want her dog sleeping in bed with them.
Oh,
She's
that's a
like,
mood.
My dog is my child. My dog is my family.
Yeah.
And I think you would love that.
I think I would love that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so she has this coughing fit. She goes into the kitchen to try and escape, except the object of her coughing fit, the catalyst to this embarrassing coughing fit, follows her in to like give her water and pat her back and make sure she's okay. Kris is such a dreamboat. Devon is such a dreamboat.
This was such a swoony book, y'all.
This was so swoon-tacular.
Do you ever
like?
do you ever read? I guess not, because you are in love and married. But occasionally, as a single human, I read books like this. I'm not even monogamous.
No, yeah.
And it makes the yearning that I feel in somebody, like in my deepest parts of my soul, to have this. And like, I know I would hate it. They'd be like, you're mine and you're not allowed to be with, like, that's it.
Yeah.
And I'd be like,
you don't own me.
well, actually, I'm poly. So
That's
like,
not how Sabrina does
sorry.
things.
But like, books like this, like,
Yeah. Yeah, because Kris later on does get possessive in a
she
very
sure
hot
does.
way.
So apparently we find out that Kris came on this reality TV show and by the way, I still had no idea what the hell the premise of this reality TV show was.
It's
and so
brilliant.
Kris, we find out that Kris is here to fall in love.
But here's the thing. That's not what the show is for.
No.
The premise of this reality not dating show is that they pair people up, they pair up strangers, and then those two strangers have to make their families believe that they are engaged and they're getting married. And then they have to get their families to plan the wedding with them in 6 weeks' time.
So I have a question. As a reality TV show, would you watch this?
Yes.
Okay.
Are you kidding me? This has everything. Man, Chencia C. Higgins knows exactly. Like, somebody needs to hire her. You know what? Bravo, get it at Chencia C. What's her name? Why can't I remember her name? Higgins. It is Higgins. I was going to say Higgins, and I was like, that's not right, Melody. But it is. Okay, so that's the whole deal. And here's the thing. At the end, if they do get all the way to the altar, their families buy in and they support them, they get all the way to the altar, they can choose to get married and stay together, or they can each get paid $100,000.
Yeah. I want to know how many times they've done that and somebody has said, yes, I want that person. And the other person said, actually, I want the $100,000.
Well, that was also not clear because it seemed to me that both people could walk away with the $100,000.
Yes.
Which is wild. Normally, so like on Love Island, for example, at least my recollection of Love Island, is that at the very end, they can choose to either like, I think, share the money or keep the money. And share the money is like stay together, and I think keep the money is break up. Maybe? It's something like that, but both people do not walk away with all the money if they don't want to. Wait, is that F-Boy Island? I don't remember. Uh-oh. I've watched too many reality dating shows. That might be F-Boy Island. But there is a cash prize at the end of Love Island. And there's tension about whether or not, you know, they're going to like stay together or not. And there's money involved. So anyway, in this one, are you frozen or are you...
No, I'm not frozen. I am just...
Did you just forget what podcast is?
No, I was just listening. Like, I had nothing to offer. And you were just rattling off names and premises and endings and prizes. And I was just dumbfounded.
Yeah, you looked frozen in dumb foundation. Yeah. Is what you looked like.
Sorry.
It's fine.
It's an audio medium.
No, totally. No, here's the thing. This is a brilliant premise. But it is kinder than any reality TV show would ever be.
I did have that thought. I was like, I haven't seen much reality TV, but this feels significantly nicer than your average reality TV.
I mean that just on the premise level. I mean it on every other level, but like just we're talking about the premise here. The fact that both of them can walk away with $100,000 checks is much nicer than any reality TV show I've seen. You know?
Yeah. Well, I thought that it was going to be like whoever said no first or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Got to keep the $100,000.
Mm-hmm.
Like, get those stakes up.
Yeah. You know what? I remembered what Love Island is. They each get a card. One of them is like a green money sign. The other one is in like an X, go fuck yourself sign. And then the person who has the money side can either decide to keep it all or share with the person who bad luck didn't get the money sign. That's what it is. Okay.
That's fucked up.
Isn't that fucked up? Yeah, I love it. I love it so much. Okay. So people are married off that show and kids and stuff, you know?
Love Island?
Love is real. Yeah.
Okay, I have too many questions. We have a podcast about a specific book. So they have these things called jitter cams, right?
Which, if you're a reality TV, isn't in the moment. It's like a confessional from real world.
Yep. And so we get these like interspersed jitter cams from both Devon and Kris's perspective.
They're so good.
They're so cute.
Mm-hmm.
And like I would watch this season just for Devon and Kris, you know?
Yes. And we can't even get in to the cast of characters that are also here. We do have to talk about Tanisha, though.
Yes.
There's a bunch of people that we meet, but the one that we need to talk about is Tanisha. She comes over and sits down next to Devon, and she's like, I just need you to know that you are my type in every single way. And like, you're a person I could fall in love with. And so I have a feeling we're not going to get chosen, but I just need you to know that's where I'm at right now.
Which, like, bold move.
And Devon is like, oh my God.
Mm-hmm. But I love that Devon just rolled with it because this bitch has some self-esteem and I fucking love it. She knows she's hot shit.
Yes, absolutely. So, oh, wait, just to be totally clear, in this jitter cam, Devon is asked to like say what she thinks about every person, and Sabrina's going to read you her prayer that she does when she gets to Kris.
I sure am. Bowing her head, she pressed her palms together. You saw me scrolling.
I did.
She pressed her palms together and closed her eyes. Oh.
Wrong prayer.
Yeah, this is the prayer at the luncheon.
My note is, jitter cam with prayer that Kris's fiance be protected by the Lord from her sexiness.
Okay, here it is. So.
It's so good.
Lord, keep your hand on Kris's fiance. Mm-mm. They need you now more than ever because they won't be able to convince people they're marrying her if they're staring at her dumbly at every turn. Mm-hmm. Gird their loins and strengthen their poker face. Cross my heart and hope to die. Stick a needle in my eye. Amen.
Amen. It's great.
For anybody who gets matched up with Kriss, because like you can already see that Mel and I are on that same.
She's an undeniable force of beauty and sex and deliciousness.
Oh my God, Kriss's sex appeal just launches itself off of this page with the most aggressive slap to the face.
Truly. Normally, I don't like the description of like a sexy lip lick, you know? Like a, you look good lip lick. And every time it happened in this book, I was
There's quite a few things that Kriss does that I like IRL, but I'm generally not a huge fan of it being described.
Sure.
Over text. Kriss hit a lot of those tickets.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a zero problem.
Every single one of them
In fact, I had the opposite of a problem. Mm-hmm. Like, I was like, give me more. Please do that again. Absolutely. I will also say, because I can't get into it with every single time it happens, this author, the way she describes makeouts.
Oh, God.
This is some of the most incredible makeout description and just general kissing and like physical interaction.
Yeah.
It felt, I literally was reading this and I was like, this has been me and a girlfriend. Like I've never felt more real, right?
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. And let me just say, the audiobook is top notch.
I can never listen to this audiobook because I cannot handle Devon or Kriss whispering into my ears.
No, you'll never recover. That's my solemn vow to you. That is my prediction. Okay. So they're paired together. They find out basically the next morning that they're paired together, and they're going to have like a lunch where they chat for the first time and then get sort of walked through the expectations of the show. Mm-hmm. So Kriss is cheesing over the fact that she got Devon.
Yeah. Uh-huh. And like Devon is so easily flustered at this first luncheon. Like she keeps blushing and having to like look away. And then she
couldn't
says,
talk at the party. She literally couldn't talk.
I know. And then she can't talk at the beginning of this luncheon until she says, so bowing her head, she pressed her palms together and closed her eyes. Before I could say another word, her lips started moving and I could hear her faintly speaking. Lord, I see you got jokey jokes. Obviously, this is you getting back at me for that fake prayer I did for the jitter cam. And to that, I say, well played.
It's great. So at this dinner, Kriss finds out that Devon is using the show as a vehicle to come out to her family. And she is really supportive of this. She thinks it's incredibly brave and incredibly savvy. Mm-hmm. But she's also like, how in the world are we supposed to win a competition where we convince her family that she's getting married to a woman and they don't know that she's gay?
Well, and on top of that, Kriss is like, I don't know that this is going to work.
Yeah.
Like, because Kriss, quote, my body was ready to be booed up with somebody's daughter and breaking out into random choreography at bottomless brunch while dressing in matching fits.
I've never heard anything sexier in my entire life.
I am going to try so hard. This is my promise to you, Mel, and my promise to you, listener.
Okay.
I'm going to do my damnedest.
Okay. Not
to quote this entire fucking book.
I hear you.
But I do have a lot of highlight. You know what I mean? This is a whatchamacallit, Evil Minions guide situation.
I hear you. So the next thing we find out at lunch is that Kriss is a sort of part-time social media influencer. She went on like a weightlifting and weight loss journey sort of accidentally on Instagram and stumbled into this influencer life. And so far, she's been meeting a lot of the women she dates via her DMs. And she's ready. Like, she says it out loud. She is ready for a wife and to settle down and to do all the coupley things. But she's been really screwed over realizing that a lot of the women she's dating via her DMs are either just sort of there for the story or the opportunity, or they're trying to leverage their relationship with her to launch their own influencer platform. And that's getting old. And she's getting hurt. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she loves the fact that Devon
has no idea.
Doesn't know who she is. And B, does not give a fuck.
Yes.
Also,
and it's adorable.
Devon is a 9th grade guidance counselor, and Kris is a middle school gym teacher.
Yes, it's very cute.
Stop it, everyone. No, it's too cute.
And the best part is Devon loves
it.
Oh.
Loves it.
Yeah, it's super cute. And then this is where you mentioned this to me.
I did.
Because Devon, well, you mentioned it to everybody. I don't know if it'll end up in the episode, though. But
it probably will.
So Kris has been calling her baby?
No, she's been calling her beautiful.
No. Yes. Oh, yeah, sorry. Braden is baby.
Babe. No, it's babe.
Babe. Oh, I'm sorry.
Babe.
Cam is baby. And other people in that series.
Sure, man.
There's just so many. So anyway, so Kris keeps calling her beautiful, and Devon is like, look, I get that that's your go-to.
That's your boilerplate.
But you're going to have to come up with something special for me.
If I'm the woman, and she says, what do you want me to call you? And she says, I don't know. What would you call a woman you were going to get married to? That's what you need to call me. And then Kris looks at her and she says, you know what? I'm going to work on that and I will have a specific to you nickname in the morning.
Yes, because
and she does.
The next day, they are going to say, I have some questions for you.
Okay. Yeah.
About this. Because Kris is going to introduce Devon to her family at her sister's baby shower.
Right.
Don't you feel like
I think that's a recipe to get stabbed.
Yeah.
By a hormonal pregnant woman.
It's also just Kris is such a thoughtful human being.
Right? It doesn't make any sense that she would do it.
This is such a not thoughtful thing to do. This is your sister's special.
Yeah. Now, granted, she does say, I'm waiting until way later. Like, I'm having Devon show up later so that, so that Kiki can have her moment or whatever. But I'm like, the whole day is the moment. It's the whole thing.
And I felt like they were about to, so we get there, right? So I just needed your thoughts on that. And you are in the same boat as me where it's like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
So Devon shows up and Kris hauls her out onto the porch and they sit on the bench.
Because they have to have a consent conversation, listener.
Because she is a very physically affectionate human being, and she wants consent to hold her hand and give her little neck kisses, and little cheek kisses, and little
hug
forehead
around
kisses, and little huggies,
waist.
and some lip kisses,
and some whispering in the ear, and some earlobe caressing,
and some caressing.
Maybe a knee grab, okay? Like,
and
what?
So she needs consent. And
she says specifically, she's like, my family is incredibly touchy. Like, we're very, I don't mean as to sound like stereotypical of a Latinx family, but we're very touchy. And I want your consent, but I need you to know that if you say no, it is no problem at all.
It'll just be harder to convince them, basically.
Yeah. It'll just be a bigger obstacle to convince them they're really together. And Devon's like, oh, okay.
And then she says to Kris, into those big, beautiful eyes, she says, can we practice?
And like, when I was reading this, I didn't know how that wasn't the first conversation at lunch. You know what I mean? Like, that would have been one of my first things is like, what are we doing physically? I don't know.
I don't know that it would have crossed my mind because I just need to know about you. I would be more concerned about them asking me questions about you.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So, like, I don't think I would have even thought about the physical thing until all of a sudden it was too late and I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah, I don't know what to do. And then Kris says, you want to practice kissing me? And Devon's like, don't say it like that. I just don't want our first kiss to be in front of a bunch of people. And so Kris is like, yes, let's. So Devon says, "May I kiss you?" And in Chris's inner monologue, she's like, it's the matter-of-fact way that she says it to me that, like, really does me in. And then
I called it the minute Devon did all of this that she was going to be a fucking vixen monster in bed.
Yes.
Oh, my God. I was like, oh, my God, Devon. And that's when I was like, Devon.
Devon. Oh, my God. And Kris says that she's really surprised by the fact that Devon just grabs her, like she grasps her shirt harder and then pulls her in. And it's not a hesitant kiss. It goes from lip contact and then to tongue. And it's like the most magical
I'm going to tell you something.
Yeah.
Almost all of the kisses in this book. So I can make a movie in my head, but I slow down my reading significantly.
Yeah, I imagine.
And almost every single kiss in this book, I movie-tized. Like,
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
They're cinematic.
Mm-hmm. I would watch this movie so fucking hard.
Oh my God. Yeah. So somebody starts catcalling them and laughing, and she turns around, and one of her tias is there with the cousins. And they're like, oh, what's going on here? And she's like, nothing's going on. I'll see you inside. Mm-hmm. And when they get inside, her mom and dad, they like go over to where they're sitting, and her mom's got this like secret smile on her face, and she's like, "¿Quién es?" And Kris is like, "This is Devon." And then they don't say anything about their relationship, but Kris is like floored because Devon gives her mother a vase of flowers, and she gives her dad these like specially mixed spices for the barbecue because he's grilling today.
Yeah, specifically Tejano.
Yeah.
Grilling. Yeah. And like for that specific cuisine. And Kris
is like, I can't remember a girlfriend being this considerate. Or, Devon also greets them in Spanish, even though she's like she doesn't actually like, super speak it fluently. Yeah.
But she can understand a little bit and respond a little bit and like,
And Kris is just like, I can't remember anybody going out of their way for me like this. And we're not even really together. Like, this is amazing.
Also, by the way, we learned this during the smooch on the porch.
Sure.
That Chris's nickname for Devon is Preciosa.
Yeah, Preciosa. Yeah. And every single time that narrator just crooned Preciosa.
I could not. This is not a book I could listen to. So this is the funniest thing. Audiobooks, I can listen to the most hardcore. I can read and listen to the most just insane.
Yeah.
Horny town times.
Yeah.
Straight face, not a problem. I'm just boopity bop bopping. And then like that, I would need to be alone in my home.
Mm-hmm. So you could
squee. Handle. Yes.
You can't stop the squee. I get that. Mm-hmm. This and like fantasy action scenes are really hard.
Yeah, that too.
Because something will come out and I'll be like, wow! Or like, ooh!
What?
And yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah. And people just,
I can't read books with stupid people either because the entire time I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? What are you doing? So anyway.
So it goes amazingly. We meet one of Chris's brothers, Ray, and he was a very important side character to me.
Raymond is a hoot.
He is an incredibly flamboyant, dirty-mouthed gay guy. And he like at one point in the middle of a baby shower, he's like, no, I'm a bottom bitch through and through. I love him so much.
Yes.
Then Raymond sees the ring and they're both like, shit, we're not telling anybody yet. Like, just wait. And they start playing that game.
Oh, the baby game.
Yeah, the baby game. You can't say baby or you lose a pin and you can take other people's pins if they say baby. And I am very embarrassed to say that I had to rewind that scene 4 times because I could not figure out where Kris said baby. I was so taken in by the sexiness. That like I was like, she didn't say baby.
Like
what is everybody talking about?
She would just start speaking and you went into like a fugue state.
Yes. I was cleaning my bathroom and I had to like stand there and like put the Clorox wipe down and be like, go back a minute and a half. No, go back 2 minutes and like listen to it and be like, she still didn't say baby. I don't understand.
So I had to do the same thing. Because I eyeball read, I just went back like a page. Mm-hmm. But it still took me a long time. I read over it twice before I caught it. I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah. She says like, baby, if you're going to keep on biting your lip or something, it makes me want to attack that lip. That's what she says. It makes me want to attack that lip, Kriss. You can't make me into a puddle like that.
Kriss is so smooth that it is painful.
Truly.
This is one of those books where I just get depressed because nobody will ever live up to the smooth operator.
I don't know. If you watch The Queer Ultimatum, you might see a smooth operator in this way with Mal. And she doesn't even get, like, to be very romantic very much. And she still knocked my gosh darn socks off when she did.
Okay, I might have to watch this season of that show.
I
feel bad just watching it to lust and objectify and swoon over people, though.
No, it's also, like, hot mess central and, like, very good reality TV and all the stuff that
you realize I'm not watching or giving a shit about it until Mal or Xander come on the screen, so I can just stare longingly at them and then
don't worry,
go back to what I'm doing.
They are intertwined, so it's drama.
So anyway, Kriss goes to get a beer, and while Kriss has gone away, we hear a shriek from Kriss's mommy, and looks over, and she is holding up Devon's hand
like it's a Muppet puppet
with the engagement ring, and horror, just shrieking,
like waving it around, being like, "What is this?"
So Kriss's whole family's losing it. They're like, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, what's the story?" So they give them kind of the story, and then,
are you pregnant?
Yeah, the whole "are you pregnant" question. And Devon is straight up like, these people, which, my god, I would never be bold enough to say this to my partner's family, whether or not it's real family
too. I know.
No, and I get that, but like, I would never in a million years would the thought that's an inside thought for me.
She says the word vagina in front of her whole family.
Do they think that an egg crawled out of my vagina and up yours to
fertilize one of your eggs?
One of your eggs. And I was like, Devon!
I know. Especially since Devon is so reserved.
You just looked those parents dead in their beautiful faces and said, I have wrecked your daughter sexually. I was so horrified.
Yeah. I mean, there are a couple of times when these two people say sex stuff in front of their family that like I don't think I could say out loud.
I would have
about a real romantic partner
if I tried to do that.
No. At one point, I'm so sorry, just because we can't forget it.
Are you talking about the moment, dessert?
I don't know. There's a moment when Devon's sister asks, like, what are you called? I think, like, you know, what's your name or whatever, but like, what are you called? And she's like, Kriss or Daddy when Devon's feeling nasty. Oh my goodness.
This is Devon's younger sister. It's
yeah.
And like, granted, I'm coming at this, my sister is 15 years younger than me, so like, but like, even just thinking about I'm flustered just thinking I wouldn't have a good response.
No, and like, I say shit in front of my siblings. You know what I mean? Like at some point when my brother was living with a bunch of other Navy dudes, I went to visit him. And you know those brushes that have like the reservoir for the soap? And you like push out the soap from the brush and then, you know, whatever. They were calling it their cleaning wiener. And I thought it was hilarious. Except I would forget what they called it, and I would be like, no, I need the cleaning penis. And then one of the boys would hand it to me, horrified, just blushing all over the place, the cleaning penis. And like, I talked to my siblings about stuff, but I don't know if Michael said something like that in front of my siblings. I don't know.
Well, no, it's not even. Yeah. Well, I can't wait to remind you of the dessert thing because that killed me.
I have to be totally honest with you. I still don't understand the dessert comment. Is this to the pregnant sister?
I was going to ask you.
What does that mean?
We'll get there.
Do you not know what it means?
I know exactly what it means.
No, I have no idea. And I also rewinded that being like, what kind of dessert?
I got that immediately.
Like, is she a cream puff? Like, what? I don't understand.
Well, okay, fine. We'll explain it now. She's cream filled. That's how she got pregnant.
Gross. Ew. Gross. Oh my God. Kris looks at her pregnant sister and says, you're the one who let a man make you into a dessert. And the sister's
immediately died.
Yeah. But the sister's like, that is so gross, but it's also so right. Like, I'm so mad at you.
I had to put the book down for a solid 2 minutes because I was laughing so hard.
I hate it. Okay. Where were we?
So anyway.
It goes amazingly. They love her. Like, everything goes great. And then the next day,
My second question.
Okay.
In what fucking world is this the way you come out to your deeply religious mother?
I have several issues with this on a reality TV level.
Okay.
There is no fucking way, because Devon's plan is that she's going to go into church on Sunday holding Chris's hand and introduce her to her mother. Mm-hmm. And that's how she's going to like start the coming out process kind of situation. She says, thankfully, the producers agreed not to take the cameras into the sanctuary as long as we said we would absolutely let the cameras into her house later. From a reality TV standpoint, there is literally no way that they would have let that a producer would be like, I'm not going to capture the moment. What?
If anything, just put a fucking like video camera boutonniere on. You know what I mean? Like, there's no. Yeah, I had that thought too. I was like, well, especially because later in the house, there's no cameras.
Yeah, I don't know where Felix was with that camera. What happened there?
I have a lot of questions. It's fine. Well, so Kris is being super sweet and reassuring and just telling her how strong she is and how wonderful she is and like, she's I'm here alone for you. It was beautiful. I'm not going to lie. This is chapter 4 and I was sobbing the entire chapter.
I know. It was gorgeous. Kris says, if you can't handle it, rely on my strength as well as your own. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm here for you. She gives her some really sweet, like, reassuring kisses in the parking lot. Mm-hmm. And I was
this was different than any kiss they'd shared before. It wasn't the exploratory practice kiss or like any of the dozens of chaste kisses we'd exchanged in front of her family. The way her mouth moved against mine was an extension of her keeping my feet on solid ground. It centered me in a way I'd never experienced through another human being before. I sighed into her and felt the weight of my anxiety lessen against my chest, allowing me to finally breathe easy.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And then Kris tells her, don't give up, Preciosa. The fight hasn't even started as they're about to go inside. And oh my God. And Devon says, I just want to live and I want them to love me regardless of who I love. Is that too much to ask?
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
Why does it have to be a fight?
Like, chapter 4 and chapter 5 were in some ways real hard to get through from like youth trauma, specifically religious trauma around being queer. Mm-hmm. It's a lot.
Yeah,
it was great and it was beautiful, but like, boy.
I mean, it's visceral. You're experiencing it in the moment.
Yeah.
You're taken right into the scene.
And then immediately,
Yeah.
we meet the nuns as they're walking into the church.
They're not nuns. They're just ladies.
No, sister something and madam something, like blah,
They're
blah, blah.
Baptist.
Whatever. Okay, you're right. They're not nuns because they're not Catholic.
Not nuns.
In my head, they were nuns. It doesn't matter. All I know is that this old lady comes out and she says to them after watching them make out in the parking lot, young lady, I know you think you're grown, but the next time I see you out there disrespecting the Lord's house, committing fornication and whatnot, I'm going to put you over my knee. Oh, but Mother Jacobs, this is my... I don't care about none of that mess. Boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. If you ain't married, you sinning. You hear me? And I was like, this is the kind of support that I like to see. Like, I don't give a shit who you're fucking.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be fucking.
Mm-hmm. That was my thing. I was like, you're in the parking lot. Like,
I did have that thought.
your mom was already going to know. Like, Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
So they go in, and her mom gets up, and she's really relieved to see her because she's worried that they were going to be late. She sees them holding hands, and she just sort of like shuts down. Her whole face goes neutral. She looks at the ground, and then she points to the pew, and she says, go on in. Praise and worship's about to start. And Devon just crumbles. She kisses her mom on the cheek and goes and sits down. And then just starts sobbing because she got the exact rejection she was expecting. The exact rejection she's been dreading for her entire 30 years.
Yeah. It was rough. And Kris is ta-taing her and holding her and reassuring her and letting her cry on her shoulder. And then Kris disappears. And Devon's mom sits down next to her and starts holding her and like telling her, she says, God makes no mistakes. You've always been this way and my love for you has never wavered. So why on earth would things change now? Mel.
This made me so fucking mad.
I don't remember the last time I've hated somebody in a book.
No, I know.
The way that I hate Devon's mom.
Yeah.
She redeemed herself a little by the end. In the sense that, like, she was trying, but, like, I am still angry when I think about her. Like, how, because what that means is her mom always knew, and this is brought up in the book. Her mom, so that happens at church. We get back to their house.
From Kris's perspective, this was important to me. So, from Devon's perspective, Kris just disappears and her mom comes in. From Kris's perspective, we find out that she's holding her and shielding her and comforting her. And the mom comes over and like tries to pull her and pat her away or whatever. And Kris like looks up glaring, like, how the fuck dare you? I'm going to stand between you and whatever other damage you're going to cause. But the mom looks at her with like teary, remorseful eyes and she says, please. And so that's when Kris decides to get up and allow her to go in. But just the fact that Kris, like, in this place she doesn't know, amongst people that very probably are uncomfortable with who she is as a person, or, like, could be at the very least, is like, no, I am the human shield for my fiancé. Like, it just shows exactly who Kris is and exactly who Kris wants to be.
And it was beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, and then later when they end up leaving the church to head to Devon's mom's house for dinner to have this conversation that is going to be coming. Kris says to her, I just want you to know that I see you and I'm proud of you. It might not mean much since we just met a few days ago, but you did a brave thing and no matter the outcome, you are worthy.
In the parking lot, Devon says, it's like people are telling me that like just acceptance, I'm asking for the world. And Kris says, you're not asking for the world, but if you were, you deserve every inch of it.
Yeah. So there was, in general, there was a lot of really, I don't know how Chencia identifies, right? I don't know anything about this author. If this author is not queer, they know like they are deeply intimate with somebody who is, because this is one of the realest queer experience couple of chapters that I've ever read. Because what happens next is they get to Devon's mom's house.
I could flip every table in the universe.
Her best friend, Cinta, gets in the car. And then I thank you to all straight and cis allies. But Cinta did the thing that I just have no patience for anymore. Where, one, when the queer person is going through something, you need to be explained to why what you're saying is performative allyship. Right? Like, well, isn't it better if she just didn't say anything? Isn't it like what's worse, her assuming that you were gay and never saying anything, or her knowing for sure that you're gay and hating you for it? And Devon's like, that's not it, Cinta. I feel like they're equally bad. Yeah. Like, this is not an either or. Like, this is coming from a perspective where you never had to tell your family shit.
Right.
Like,
well, and you didn't find out that your mom knew you were suffering your entire life and didn't do a goddamn thing to make you feel comfortable about it.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. That's
insane.
Yeah, it was rough. So Cinta goes home. She doesn't come in for dinner or Sunday lunch or whatever. But her mom is shocked and hurt because she asks them, so you picked the ring out yourself? And Kris is like, no, we picked it out together.
And she's like, her mom, this was a plan?
Oh my God. And then she straight up, and I love that all of this was talked about in the book, because even if it hadn't been talked about in the book, we would have talked about it.
Oh, yeah.
Her mom skirts the issue and then fucking martyrs herself.
Does a big, giant guilt trip.
Yeah.
She literally says, listener, as a mother, I was so fucking mad. Because she literally says, I always prided myself on being such a good mother, and the fact that I was so close to all of you kids, and to find out that you didn't feel comfortable talking to me about something like this just breaks my heart. Why couldn't you tell me?
Guess what? You're the parent.
You knew.
Like,
you could have. She didn't even have to say anything. She didn't have to say, are you gay? She could have put on a gay-ass movie. She could have, said, oh, have you seen Beth and Meg? They kissed. I saw it. It was great. She could do any foolhardy thing to make it known that she's okay with it. And
her mom was hoping that Devon's entire life, she would choose not to be gay.
Yep.
And come home with a man one day.
Or nobody.
Her
mom would have been perfectly fine if she was single her whole goddamn life.
Yeah. And then it gets worse, because her mom rolls up and she's like, you don't even know I haven't even had a chance to meet these people, basically. What if they're racist?
Talking about Kris's family.
Yeah. And Kris,
oh my God,
bless her soul, her put down, I won't read.
Can you read it? Why not? Read it. Read it, please.
All right. For the record, I want to inform you that Afro-Latinx people exist and the diaspora isn't exclusive to African Americans. Second, assuming that someone is racist simply because their name sounds different than yours is a pretty bigoted point of view, especially when everyone has the potential to be prejudiced and hateful. Unfortunately, for women like us, the bigotry oftentimes comes from people in the same community as us because they are closest to us and have the ability to hurt us unlike anyone else. Ooh. My parents have done an amazing job with ensuring that the only people who have been in our lives are those who are worthy. Those people love us for who we are and don't have a shred of hate in them. Now, I'm not going to argue with you over a wrong opinion about people who you've never met. All I'll say is that Devon struggled with sharing her sexuality with you her entire life, which means that while you're worried about the hate from outside sources, you might want to consider that the call was coming from inside the house.
Oh, I get chills every time I hear it.
And it was so well stated.
Yeah. And she doesn't go the step further that I wanted her to. She thinks it in her brain. And because it was audio, I thought maybe she had said it. And I was like, ah! Oh my God, yay. Because she says something to the effect of, oh, were you paying attention to her emotional well-being when you were ignoring her sexuality and, keeping her in the closet her whole life?
Mm-hmm.
And she doesn't actually say that out loud because she doesn't want to cause a fight. She's like, I should be here mostly silent, but I just could not stick up for my family.
Well, and like what's so fucked up is her mom is so worried about her being hated for being black. But guess what? You're hating her because she's queer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you get it from one side for being a black woman.
Yeah.
But guess what? Devon has all of that and queer on top of it and knowing that her family doesn't support her.
Yeah.
Like.
And it's tough, right? Because one thing that I thought Chencia Higgins did an absolutely incredible job of for the rest of the book is sort of showing her mom learning and like fumbling a little bit and trying and apologizing and whatever. Like at one point she asks if Kris identifies as a bride or a groom, which is on its face an adorable question. That's adorable.
Like that, and that's what, to be frank, that is exactly the kind of shit that somebody who is not well informed
but is trying so hard,
is trying,
right?
But
at the same
think I know
time,
where you're going.
Well, microaggressions are just as hurtful. And there were so many times throughout the book where you could see the death by 1,000 cuts that Devon was experiencing with her mom, whether or not it was intentional, because sometimes it was absolutely intentional.
Oh, yeah.
Other times it wasn't, you know?
Well, and I think one of my favorite parts, and this is such a reality as somebody who is queer, is that we accept and see and acknowledge that this person is trying.
Yeah.
But Devon's mom is never explicitly forgiven.
No.
Not a single time in this book.
Mm-mm.
And that is so real.
Because
you can't choose your family, but you can unfortunately still love them, even if you wished that you didn't, because it would hurt less when they hurt you.
Right.
And she's just never forgiven. And I fucking love, there was no like come together like, I love you, mom. I love you, mama.
No.
Like, you are forgiven. Blah, blah, blah. Like, this is going to be something, just straight up, this is going to be something that Devon carries with her for the rest of her entire life.
Of course. That is such a pivotal part of her development. You know? Like, that is a wound that can never be fully healed, I feel like.
Yeah. I came out almost 14, like I came out almost half of my life ago, right? And I still very vividly remember the reactions in my family. You know what I mean? Like for better or for worse, like some were good, some were bad.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to my grave remembering that more than I remembered prom. More than you know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah. Absolutely. We do find out that her little brother has always known and always like helped her date girls by pretending to date them for her mom.
Darren is the most precious baby angel.
I love Darren too. I love every bone in Darren's body. I love a Darren.
I want a Darren book.
Oh my God, don't. That would give me so much joy.
I know. That's like the minute we met Darren, I was like, I need the book about the
Cinnamon Roll needs
boy
a book.
who used to pretend to date women so that Devon could go on dates. Like, and also like been there.
Yeah.
That's the first person I ever went on a date with.
Really?
This exact scenario. But it was a friend. I was a friend of hers. Yep.
That's great. No, but like at another point, Darren comes to like find the DJ because, listener, this book is organized by the weeks of the show. It's one of my favorite ways to organize a book. The same thing happened in Rosalind Palmer Takes the Cake or whatever.
So this is fascinating.
Okay.
That you brought this up because when I went and was a little creepy maggot looking at your notes.
Yeah.
Because I saw that you were making notes.
Yeah. Little creepy maggot.
My little creepy maggot self immediately noticed that you just had week 1, wall of text. Week 2, wall of text. I don't even have what week, but I do have, chapter 1 and then Devon Jittercam. Chapter 2, Kriss Jittercam. And all of those things. It didn't even... Yeah.
Yeah, because in reality TV, the weeks of the shows when they're going to come out is very, very important.
And that it totally makes sense, but I immediately clocked that looking at your notes.
Yeah. Well, okay, so one of the weeks they have to find a DJ and like flowers. It's a very important week that is really incredible. But Darren goes to the DJ situation and Ray goes with Kriss. And like Ray hits on him so hard and like very aggressively, very vividly.
He's like, "Oh, you're a musician? Do you also blow pipes?" And Darren is such a cool as a cucumber. Meanwhile, Kriss is like, "Raymond, what the fuck are you doing?
Why are you like this?
You're acting like a child. You're acting like a child who never got any attention growing up. Like what the hell, Ray?"
Yeah. Okay, so week 2, they have to choose venues. Oh, I'm sorry. They, like, have dinner with her mom. They, like, the sister cries and apologizes that Devon never felt safe telling her about it.
This is when the daddy comment happens.
This is when that daddy comment comes out. Whoa! And Devon looks at Kriss and accidentally says that she finds her completely and utterly drop-dead gorgeous. Like, devastatingly gorgeous.
Breathtakingly gorgeous.
Yeah. And then she, like, kind of feels self-conscious about it. And Kriss comes over to her right in front of the oven and grabs her by the face and says, "Just know."
I'm such a slut for a face grab, and there was so much face grab. There was so much chin chuck in this book.
And face and nape of the neck pull.
Oh. Napes? Don't you talk to me like that.
Don't bring the nape into this.
Bring that into
It's too much. All right.
I can't.
Actually, lately, Michael has been doing the best thing in the whole wide world. I'm probably going to cut this out. But he has realized what a slut I am for a nape of the neck contact. That if I'm feeling, like if I feel tense or whatever in bed, in addition to spooning me, he'll just put one hand and just rest it grabbing the nape of my neck. And I melt every time and go immediately to sleep.
Oh my God. You're like a little cat.
Yes. It's like that. Anyway, okay. Then week 2 is venues. We got to motor a bit.
We do have to motor.
Listener, I'm so sorry. Read this book.
Yeah.
Read the book. The whole families come out.
Oh
and it's
God.
incredible. They do a Goldilocks venue search. The first one is too scary. And the moms are like
literally praying, holding their rosaries.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
The floor's wet. There's no windows. It's dark. It's bad.
And Devon throws Kriss under the bus because the show picks all of these venues. But they're like, "How did you even find this venue to be interested in it?" And she's like, "Oh, so one of Kriss's followers like told her about it." And Kriss is like, "So mean." And Kriss's mom is like, "Whoever that was, that is not your friend. That is an enemy.
You need to cut them out of your life."
Yeah.
And like, listener, we cannot express because we're going to be skipping
so much
of incredible scenes. Just read the book, okay?
And like just because this is one of the chief things that I think we have to skip, what the biggest conflict I think between the two of them is what they're both battling. Well, especially Devon. What Devon is especially battling throughout this entire book is what is real and what is not. And that's such a cornerstone of the reality TV experience. You know what I mean? What is real and what is not. And she can't tell when Kriss is performing and when she's not. And so she'll make comments and Kriss will be like, "I have no idea what you're talking about."
Devon?
No. Devon will make comments about like, "Oh, you're so good at pretending to love me." And then Kriss will be like, I don't understand. I'm not pretending anything. And she's like, is that real or is it not? You know?
Yeah.
So,
well, anyway. And on top of that, not only is it reality TV, Kriss is an influencer. Like, Kriss has a social media, like a social presentation of herself. And so she's used to acting.
Right.
And like putting things on for the camera. Like, I totally understood why Devon this entire time through was like,
Absolutely.
I don't know how you.
Well, so after they do all of these venues, they do 2 venues. And outside, in front of the cars, they ask them to, like, just chat for a minute in the sunset, basically to get B-roll. And
you and your reality TV knowledge, you sexy beast. Say B-roll for the listener again. Talk dirty to us.
So they say something, and then Kris is like, you know the reason that I came on the show, and you continue to act like you don't. Like, I don't understand why. And then she comes over and, like, cages her in against her car, and it's hot. And she's like, tell me why you keep on pretending you don't know. And Devon totally misses the entire point, because she's like, I know, I just don't really know what to, like, do with that information. You want to find the person, you know, the love of your life. And then Kris says, okay, well, let me do my thing. And Devon says, okay, well, just, like, take off your ring and be discreet, I guess. You know, like, I'm not going to stop you from scoping out awesome ladies or whatever. Like, it's not against the contract. So, like, whatever you want to do,
just be quiet about it.
Just be cool. And Kris is so taken aback that she, like, is speechless. She's just looking at her with this confused look on her face. And the cameraman finally has to be like, okay, this is so awkward. We gotta go.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
cameraman is already gone. This is a real conversation. I remember because he left, and then, like, Kris came all back up in her business, wasn't it?
Mm-mm. No. Felix says, wow, that was a really long time. And Devon says, it wasn't even 10 minutes. And then Kris is like, it was a really long time. Mm-hmm. But, like, after the cameraman leaves, Kris, like, opens her door and puts her in the car or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So then Kris goes home and tells her not twin sister, Rhea, about this whole thing. And, like, Rhea is busting a gut, being like, this cannot be true.
And Rhea has the most perfect, concise explanation of what happened the night before. Because Rhea says, you told her you came on the show to find love, and then she said she needed to let you do what you came to do. And she said, none of your other bitches even know about me, so do what you gonna do. I'm crying. And I was like, same, Rhea.
Yeah. And so Rhea says, you need to, like, tell her that she is the lady. And Kris is like, I did. It's done. And Rhea's like, obviously not. Try again.
This is one of those moments where I was like, Kris, you nitwit, you ding dong. This is a ding dong book.
You beautiful dummy. But it's great because the next morning, Kris hops in the car with Devon before anybody else is there. And she's like, I think we had a bit of a miscommunication last night. When I said I wanted to find the love of my life, the person I was talking about was you. And Devon is like, okay. And Kris just sort of looks at her and is like, okay. And Devon's like, and? Like, I don't know what to do with that information. And Kris, like, Kris is like, I want to give us a chance. You know, I want to, like, be able to fall in love with you and let you, you know, allow that, essentially. And Devon's like, yeah, but you decided this before you even met me. So, like, I'm not a Lego that you can fit into your life.
Good for you, Devon.
Yeah. Looking at all of that sex on legs and saying, yeah, I need to be chosen for me, okay? And not just chosen by default. I don't know if I could do it.
I was just going to say,
I would be Devon, Kris's default. I would default to Kris anytime.
Like, you know what? It's fine. Go have your bitches.
I don't need to be an individual. Who cares?
I'll just be your good girl at home. It's fine.
Yeah. I will be on your arm, Kris.
Yes, absolutely. So they find the third place. It's amazing. They end up going with it because it's a fantastic experience. It's nothing like, you know, the nightmare horror shows that they saw the day before. And then they all,
they go to dinner.
They go out to dinner. And while they're there, Kris's dad is like, you're not paying for the venue. Like, I'm paying because that's my right as the father of the wife.
Right.
Like, this is what I'm doing for my baby.
Right.
When she's getting married. And Devon handles it so perfectly because the show is paying for all of it.
Yeah.
And so Devon is perfect. And she's like, we are just handling the
Deposits?
the deposits. And you can handle the final bill at the end. And
that'll work for you.
And he is so touched by this. Mm-hmm. And like in the beginning of the book, it is stated from Chris's point of view. She states multiple times. She's like, I think one of the hardest things is going to be convincing the show that my dad is convinced, because my dad never shows, like, he's a stoic, just like a classic
I missed that. Yeah.
stoic guy. And so he doesn't show a whole lot of effect. Well, dude, I don't know what, like, Devon works magic on Chris's dad, because he ends up getting teary and then getting up and coming over and hugging Kriss.
And kissing both of them on the cheek.
Well, and then the whole family comes over and is hugging Kriss, because they're all having feelings and emotional. And now Kriss is crying into her dad's shoulder. And like, it's a beautiful, and he's just so happy. And by the way, this entire book, every time shit like this went down, all I could think about was, this isn't real. I couldn't live with the guilt.
Oh, I know.
I could not live with myself.
The fact that they're lying to the family the whole time, and they're just such perfect, beautiful angels,
like,
about everything.
If they were a shitty, terrible family, okay.
Right. Fine.
They are not.
Hilarious
so they're having a family hug, and Devon's mom is like, you should go hug them too. There. And Devon's like, I don't want to get in the middle of a family thing. And then Kriss breaks free of this family group hug, and sits down in front of Devon and puts her hand on her knees, and she looks her dead in her face and her beautiful, beautiful face. And she said, let this be the last time you mention my family, and don't include yourself. All right?
No, I'm done. I'm dead. I'm a ghost.
And that's
I'm only bones.
When I die. By the way, I'll have you know, you can go look through my notes, Mel, and if you do a Control F, you are going to find the words I'm dying or I am dead or just dead at least 30 times, because I'd like read out a note and I'd be like, blah, 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 blah. And now, literally, Devon agrees that the next time Kriss pulls her into the next group hug family, she'll come willingly, and she agrees, and now I'm dead. Like, every fucking note ended with, and now I'm dead. And I'm dying.
Yeah. So, okay, we need to motor. And so week 3 is she needs to get herself a bespoke gown. Luckily, she has a best friend who is like, you know, a sewer and wants to be a fashion. And so she's going to make the dress. But she also has to go try on dresses for the cameras.
Yes.
And then Tanisha shows up when she is in a fuck me vixen wedding dress with like a plunge that goes down to her belly button or something
mermaid action.
Amazing. Yeah. And Tanisha's like, oh, I got axed last week, but you know, now it gives me the go ahead to be like, you're the person I want. And Devon is like, oh no, that's not gonna work. And
I will say, the way Tanisha got kicked off the show though was
horrifying.
Fucked up.
Yeah.
Because her partner literally looked her dead in her face, like not even a week in, and was like, hey, they'll never believe it because I will never be able to sell it because I am so unattracted and uninterested in you that I can't.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow.
Yeah. And so the
Fuck
family,
you, Margot.
I know. The family took Tanisha aside and was like, you cannot marry her. We're not letting you marry her. And the whole conceit of the show is once the family says a hard no or figures out it's fake, they're out. They can't compete anymore. So at this thing, the mom and Denisha, her little sister, are both like, I am not into Tanisha. And her mom says that the way that Tanisha was flirting with her is disrespectful to Kriss. And this was one of my favorite moments because Denisha, the little sister, was like, Mom, that's fucked up. Like, that's a patriarchal way of thinking that we're trying to axe. And the mom is like, how can it be patriarchal if they're both women? And so we get so many moments. Like, one of the things I loved about this book is that in real life, saying explanations like this is exhausting, right? And as a queer person, as a Black person, as, any minority group, a lot of times those explanations are necessary. And whether or not you do them is, your choice, and nobody should be obligated to. But I loved the fact that we got them in the book because, maybe somebody will get extra learning, maybe this will be another time where a queer person or a woman doesn't have to give this explanation to somebody.
Well, and this is such a great example of it shouldn't be on the on the minority to give the explanation.
Yeah. Her sister steps up to the plate.
Like, people who are not of that minority group, as long as you are knowledgeable, frankly, I'm not going to say it's your job, but it's helpful. At this point in my life, it feels a little more like your job than my job, right? Like, if this is a give and a take, I've given that explanation so many times at this point that I'm passing the buck. It's your turn.
Well, as an ally, that's one of the biggest ways you can show up, So Denisha is like, it doesn't matter what gender anybody is. The idea is that marriage is ownership. And that is what we're trying to walk away from. And so the mom is like, I'm so sorry. And they hug and cry. And then Kris walks in to see that Devon has tears in her eyes. And she immediately is on high alert. And she's like, what's going on? How are you? Are you sure you're okay? What's going on? She's like all up in her face, putting her hands on her neck or something beautiful and comforting and
her
sexy.
Nape. And her ear. And oh, God.
And Denisha's the best because she's like, that's right. You check on your woman.
I love Denisha.
Me too.
And so they end up having this chat.
They're like, later. Devon's like, not now, later.
Well, and then we find out in the jitter cam. So I did not realize this was why Devon was crying.
Okay.
But apparently the official reason that Devon was crying when Kris walked in is because seeing herself in these wedding dresses made it suddenly really real, and she wants to be a wife. She wants to be loved. She wants to be chosen. And this is all of a sudden, oh shit, this is happening.
It's feeling real. But more than that, she says it feels right. She says it feels like she's on the right path.
She's got full body chills.
I know. And one of the people we haven't really talked about is their producer, Kevin.
Oh, Kevin's a delight.
But their producer, Kevin, is, I think, their biggest cheerleader, but very quietly.
Yes.
So he's seeing all of these jitter cams. He's seeing everything. Okay, just keep that in mind. So then Devon is like, hey, can you please come over to my house and bring your dad's chili con carne and we'll strategize and chat. And Kris shows up. And Devon has the audacity to be in leggings and a crop top. And Kris is just like, I'm trying to keep this not sexy. And it's very difficult.
I am such a slut for somebody, specifically a femme presenting person in some tight athleisure. And I'm like, hey there. Hey,
yeah.
How you doing?
Kris has to, it says in the book that Kris has to follow her to the couch, seeing all of Devon's curves jiggle and keep her shit together. How?
I am Kris. I have never felt more seen by a character. So they are on the couch, they're talking, and then Devon straight up straddles Kris.
Because she has to tell Kris about Tanisha. And Kris is like, I don't like that. I don't understand why that would happen. Blah, 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 blah. And Devon is like, ooh, I like this. Well, and then straddles her.
And just starts making out with her. And Kris has already apparently made the decision in her beautiful brain to not move this to sex until Devon believes that Kris wants to be with her for her. Yeah. And Devon is full steam ahead, choo-choo, motherfucker. And they are nuzzling, and Kris is like, what about no sex? We can't do this, and blah, blah, blah.
No.
And then
so she says, I like this, and then Kris says, what else do you like? And then Devon says, I like how you taste. And then Kris says, I like how you taste too. And then Devon says, show me.
So, yeah. And then Kris finally is able to pull up and pull away and stop what they're up to.
Try to check in.
And Devon gets so upset.
I mean,
and storms off.
Relatable content. She's like, you're rejecting me. That's what's happening right now. Forget it.
Oh,
it's totally fine. It's totally fine. I was trying to start something, but like, don't even worry about it. It was a silly idea.
I am Devon in this situation too. I am so hypersensitive to what I perceive as rejection. Love to have a podcast with you, Mel.
Yeah. Great.
So anyway, they get in there and she's like, this might be, specifically it all happened because Kris was like, we might be moving too fast. And Devon is like, the fuck? You telling me that you're falling in love with me is not too fast, but me trying to get a nut off is too fast?
She doesn't say that because this is one of my favorite things about Kris in general. She says something like, but doing this is not too fast. And then Kris says, what is this? Say it with your whole chest.
She says that multiple times in this book, and I was here for it every single time.
I love it. Yeah. And then, so Devon says, I want more than what we have. And then that's when she says, no, say it with your chest. And Devon says, I want to fuck you right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then we find out about Devon, the sex goddess.
Because she straight up, she takes control.
Oh,
she takes charge. This is not the Kris show anymore.
No, and Kris is thinking like, I thought I was going to have to, tease everything out of her the whole time. And this is a very nice surprise. At one point, they're fingering each other. Yeah.
Before we get into it, because I don't want you to touch on it before I ask you a question.
Please. Okay. Yeah.
And the question starts and ends with the word scissoring?
That was my question. Is it scissoring?
Okay. The way it's described in the beginning is scissoring.
Is knees in between knees?
No. So it starts with them just laying on top of each other, face to face, feet to feet. And then
then Kris sits up.
No, Devon sits up because Devon's on top.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
And then in between I've scissored before, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So it was described and I immediately clocked this is scissoring. I will tell you.
Okay.
Not once in my life have I scissored and been able to nuzzle on a neck.
Well, okay, this was my question. Because in Kris's perspective, she says that they get into what I thought was a scissor position, right? But
and
then
she
says
after
she
that,
puts her pussy on my pussy.
That's
and I was
scissoring.
Yeah.
That's what made me, because I didn't clock that that's where we were going until it was pussy to pussy. And then I was like, oh my God, they're scissoring. And then they started necking and making out. And I was like, that's not how that works.
Right.
And also,
I don't know.
I'm just going to...
I thought there were fingers involved.
There were some I was very confused. I mean, I was into the sex
the
scene.
whole time.
Yeah, there was not it was not fine. I did get taken out for a second though while I was I had a little, sex logistics question mark. This would be great for that box on
scissoring logistics.
Yeah.
With Sabrina.
But sex scene logistics. It's one of the prompts this year for the reading embrace.
Yes.
So this would be a great book for it. But I had a lot of questions. I don't know that I'll ever get answers. Listener, email us at heavingbosoms@gmail.com if you have thoughts.
Yeah. So I ended up at thigh grinding.
That's where I did too. There was definitely a time, clearly, because my notes were scissoring, ?
Yeah.
But I ended up at thigh grinding, some kind of frauding, definitely
there were some finger stimulations. Oh my God. But the most important thing for me that happened, and I don't think this is not verbatim, but it's definitely the spirit of the sentence. She is on top of Kris, and she says, don't you dare hold out on me. Do you have the actual line?
Yeah.
Okay, read it.
Don't you fucking dare hold out on me, she gritted, a line of sweat appearing along her top lip. If I make you come, I deserve to hear every single sound you make. Devon! All I'm saying is Devon and I would work out in bed real well.
Golly, Devon. Great work.
Yeah, and then they realized it was so fucking funny. They realized they were recording their conversation in the living room, and they forgot to hit stop recording before this happened. So nothing is on camera, but it's all recorded.
But they've got all the audio, and it immediately uploads to the cloud, and they can't delete it.
They can't do shit about it.
Okay, so then the next week is DJs and flowers, and big giant things happen.
Yeah.
The first thing that's very important is that at the DJ audition, Darren looks at Devon and says, I've been waiting so long to see you like this. It's so wonderful to see you looking with love at someone and essentially being able to love your person out loud. I've never seen this from you, and I just love it. And Devon is being like, oh my gosh, does that mean it's as real as it feels? Because she's still doing that is it real, is it not thing. Then when they're flower shopping, they do flower stuff and they get left alone in the flower shop. And that's when Devon says, you're too good at pretending to love me. And Kris is like, I'm not pretending. I don't understand. And then as they keep on talking, Devon says something about like how cute she is or whatever, or like what a jerk she is about something hilarious. And then Kris says, you love it though. You know you love it. Or you know you love me. And then Devon says, yeah, I do.
And then Kris launches on that like a feral dog in an alleyway.
Yes.
Because she's like, no, you need to say that shit with your chest. And so Devon looks Kris in her beautiful face and says, I love you painfully. And also, I am in love with you. And then Kris, they have a little kiss. And then Kris says,
in Spanish,
I
love you too.
Yeah, basically. I was going to say it, but my Spanish accent is atrocious.
And Devon's like, maybe you should like just for science say it in English, just translate it a little bit so that I can hear it in a different language.
And when Kris says it again, Devon is devastated because she realizes she wanted more than just those words. She wanted a laundry list of reasons why, and it's making her second guess this all over again.
Specifically, she thinks to herself, it's too soon, it's too thin.
Yes.
Which too thin was such, I don't know why that stuck with me so much, but it's a beautiful way to phrase it.
And then the parents are gone and Kris clocks something and asks Devon, why is it painful to love me? And Devon says, loving you is a little painful, Kris, mostly because I don't know what to do with these emotions, but also because it feels too big for its britches. There's an egg timer on us, and it's not stopping for nothing and nobody. Trying not to think about what I'm supposed to do with all of these feelings when the show is over hurts, and trying to figure out what's next hurts even worse. Falling for you seemed like the easiest thing I've ever done, but sustaining it is a beast I can't defeat. And so Kris reassures her that the show doesn't mean the end of them and all of these things. And what fucks Devon up is that Kris very neatly sidestepped.
Yeah.
And did not actually give her anything concrete to go off of.
Kris meant to reassure her. She meant to get like on the same page about where they were going in the future, but she did not phrase it in a way that works for Devon's brain.
And this is such a good example of like, so this book in general, I hate the miscommunication trope.
Yeah.
This is a book of a miscommunication trope done well.
Yeah.
Because it's not that they're not communicating. Right. It's that they are not communicating in a way that works for the other person. Right? Like they are communicating. And frankly, this tracks. They've known each other for 3.5 weeks. Yeah. Of course, you're not going to know exactly what she needs. And so after this conversation, we see Kris's jitter cam, and she is acknowledging that I saw something wrong in Devon's eyes, and I have a lot of work to do before the finale if I want this to last beyond the finale.
Yeah.
And it was just really touching.
Yeah, absolutely. Because she was like, I told her that I loved her, but I didn't get the response that you want when you're telling someone something like that. Especially
she cried,
if you already know.
Happy tears.
Yeah, especially when you already know they love you. Like it's So now they have a bachelorette party together, and Tanisha shows up, and boy, Kris is not happy about it, but she's being real cool about it. And she goes over and like grabs Devon around the waist, and Tanisha like fucks off a little bit. So then Kris is like, why does she keep being like that? And Devon's like, because you don't have a poker face. She knows that it gets under your skin, and she's petty. And Kris is like, so Devon is like, don't worry about it. I'm going to show you exactly who I'm with, and takes her into a side hallway that goes to a bathroom and sits down on a settee.
It's on TM.
It's on TM. Kris sits down. Devon straddles her, and Devon's got a big floofy dress on. So like everything is...
Oh my God, this is my favorite thing about a dress.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Boy, absolutely. Yeah. I'm so happy it was taken advantage of in this book.
Absolutely. They finger each other. Kris says, that's right, ride my fingers. And then Devon says, I'd rather it be your face. And then Kris says, first night of the honeymoon, I promise, as she comes. It is so hot.
It's great.
Jeez.
Yeah, and then we get the cream stuffed sister situation that we talked about at the beginning of this book.
I didn't know what that meant.
And Kris, so then we get Kris's jitter cam, and we get to see Kris, like, again, reiterating. I felt like I needed to be on this show for some reason, and now I know without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
Devon is the reason.
Well, and that's because in their jitter cams toward the end of it, Kevin pulls Kris aside and shows her Devon's audition tape. And so Kris gets to see like all
Actually, this happens before this hallway finger bang.
Does it?
Tonight. Yes, because it's...
Oh. Yeah. That's right. That's why she's talking to Tanisha. That's right. So Kris is like, oh my God, this just solidifies the fact that this was all meant for me to meet this person. And then after the bachelorette party, Kevin grabs Devon because Devon is still like, I feel it, but I'm also really worried and I don't know. And so Kevin shows her Kris's audition tape. And so she gets to see that everything Kris has been saying about not wanting to meet the same people via Instagram and like not wanting to do the same things and really wanting to make a connection with somebody who has the same goals as her. And she's like, oh shit. Everything she's been saying is totally legit. And Kevin is guiding them together. Kevin
my God.
is like,
Kevin
how
shifts
does this make
so
you feel?
hard.
Oh my God.
So now I'm just going to quote Devon's jitter cam right after this real quick.
Yes,
because
please.
she says, when I came onto the show, my sole purpose was to come out to my family and boost my self-esteem a little. What I got was so much more than that. I'm not in a place to do a lot of talking, and you've already gotten plenty of tears from me, so I'll keep this short. I'm going to marry the woman that I love on Saturday.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Zippy Zap listener,
it's wedding day.
It's the big day.
They get up to the altar together, and Kevin, before anything else can happen, Kevin gets on stage and is like, hey, everybody, it's this reality show. And we're doing things a little bit differently this year because y'all are kind of the real thing. And so we've decided that you can, because normally, listener, nobody does the wedding no matter what. Even if they were to theoretically choose each other, there wouldn't be like the rest of the wedding. They wouldn't do the reception. They wouldn't do any of that. And so they're like, this time we've decided.
Which, can I just say, that's fucked up.
Yeah, that seems like wrong.
Yeah.
You know? Like
if they choose to go through with it.
Yeah. One of my favorite things about Love is Blind, or at least the earlier seasons, I don't know if they're still doing this, but one of my favorite things about that is watching the receptions that happen afterwards. And I feel like earlier on, some of them got to do receptions even when they broke up. They were like, I guess let's heartbreak party. I don't know if that's true or not. But if they get married, they get to do the reception and all the business, you know?
And the show's going to pay for it.
Yeah. So he says you can either each walk away with $100,000 right now, or you can choose to get married and the show will cover your entire wedding and your entire honeymoon. And then Kris looks over to like see what Devon thinks. Devon is on a knee. Go, Sabrina.
And Devon says, I knew you were trouble from the first moment I laid eyes on you. You were the most exquisite being I'd ever seen, and I gasped, which made me choke on my drink. You showed me kindness by giving me water and waiting until I told you that I was okay before leaving me to join everyone else. You stood by my side and held my hand, offering me more strength than I knew I needed as I came out to my family and told them in no uncertain terms that regardless if they accepted me or not, I would never be alone because the Zavalas had made me their own.
Holy
you have
shit.
affirmed me, supported me, and loved me, and more than anything, completely ruined me for any other woman. Would you please, if you are so inclined, finish what you started and marry me for real so that I can aspire to make you even a smidgen as happy as you have made me?
My whole body is tingling. I've got goosebumps on my whole body.
Yeah. And so Kris obviously drops to her knees and gives her a big ol' smoochy smack and then pulls away. And Devon's like, so like, is that a yes or a no? And Kris is like, that's a yes. Of course it's a yes.
And then Kris says her vows. Say it. Say it.
Yeah.
Tell them.
Devon, I knew from that first night that you were something special. It was why I made it a point to stay away from you. I didn't want the producers to see that I was interested and match me with someone else on purpose. You were kind to everyone that night, even the most obnoxious and annoying of the group, and even though you avoided me, I never got the feeling that you didn't like me. That next morning, after I saw that it was you, I made up in my mind that I had 6 weeks to make you fall in love with me, and the both of us standing here right now proves that I was successful. You have such a pure and loving soul. When I brought you to my family, you didn't hesitate to meet them where they were, speaking Spanish to let them know that you respected them and their language, especially in their home. That was huge and meant so much to me. And to my family, when you left, Poppy took me aside and said,
Spanish for,
I'm proud of you, that you were a good woman and that I needed to take care of you. And he was absolutely right. I know that 6 weeks isn't enough time to learn everything there is about a person, but I think that's good in a way. For us, it's perfect. This means that every day I get to learn something new about you to add on to my love. I want to continue to grow what we've built, to create a life that brings us both more joy than we could have ever imagined. And most of all, to have you by my side as we experience everything life has to offer. Thank you for allowing me to love you, for loving me back, and for making me the happiest woman on the planet by becoming my wife.
These two are so much. They're so good. And I love them. And I don't know what to do.
Yeah, so
and the epilogue is the show's reunion.
Yep,
and
it's beautiful.
One of my favorite things is that Devon finally gets to see what Kris's jitter cam was right after she found out it was Devon she was paired with. And it's just this like slow, sexy, cheesy smile. And at the reunion, Kris leans over and says, see, I told you I wanted you from the beginning.
Ma'am! The end. Listeners, they're together forever and it's beautiful.
The best.
Everything is beautiful and nothing hurts.
Nothing.
Let me tell you, I needed this book. Just cinnamon roll of a novel so badly.
This just like fucking bear hug of support and loyalty and
found family.
Found family. Yeah. Like, God.
And, like, it was
just hilarious antics.
God, it was, listener.
This book has everything.
I could not express how many times I laughed out loud reading this book. Like, it was so good.
Yes.
Oh my God.
All right, Sabrina, what's your lady love?
So, it's right around this time of the year. my lady love is, and this is so fucking sappy, is you and I have been recording together for a year. Our first episode came out sometime around May. Or like right around this time of year in general.
Yeah.
And I had so much fun with that first recording. And then I came on as a guest host a couple more times. And then you almost gave me a heart attack by making me think that you were telling me you hated me and never wanted to record again. But like that first guest episode, I mean, obviously there was the reading embrace, but I'm not counting that because that's a different kind of ball game.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking while I was literally reading this book. So as we all know, I'm a speed reader. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I'm a speed reader. Because of it, I have a Swiss cheese memory. And I was just thinking about, because I remember callbacks to books we've talked about in the past and things like that. I don't have that with books I just read in general. And while I was taking notes, I was just thinking about how happy I am that I have such a reason, because I wouldn't do it without a reason, to read closer. You know? Like taking highlights, taking notes, giving a lot more thought to it than I usually do.
Reflecting on how you feel about it.
And then having an opportunity to talk about it with you. Like, even if podcast wasn't around, I would be so down for just a Mel and Sabrina book club. You know what I mean? Where we just meet up every once in a while and talk about book.
Yeah.
Right?
A lot of times that's what happens. Even if we're just trying to have a regular friend conversation, one of us will be like, oh my God, I'm reading this book right now. And like, here are 3 things that are going on.
And I have so many book friends. So it's not like I'm at a loss for people I can talk to about books. But it's not like this. Like, I'm not sitting there like, because usually for pod, it takes me about twice as long to read a book as it would be if I wasn't highlighting and taking notes. And it just, I was just thinking about how nice this has been, specifically the last little while. Like, it takes my whole, I can't think about anything else, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And it's just so immersive in a way that reading is and isn't usually. So that's my little sappy lady love this week.
Okay, that's hilarious because my lady love is a review I have not sent to you because I wanted to read it to you out loud.
Okay, Mel, what is up? How do we mind Mel? Somehow, I feel like almost not every week, but like so many weeks, our lady loves are so,
I know,
like, just sitting on top of each other.
They're
snuggling.
symbiotic. Yeah.
Okay, what's this review?
Okay, this one is so sweet.
What's it a review of?
What? I'm sorry. It's like a podcast review. It's like it's on Apple Podcasts. It's like a podcast review.
I thought it was a funny review you found of another book that you wanted to share with me. Okay.
No. So this one says,
oh God,
excellent and hilarious. And I feel like I loved it so much because I felt very seen. And I feel like it might be the new elevator pitch for podcast in a general. Okay. It just says, I've never laughed so much in one podcast episode in my entire life. These ladies are saucy, cheeky, and oh so deliciously naughty. Just how I like my romances.
Oh, that's so cute.
I know. 300 Sunshine. Thank you for that review. That was so wonderful. And there are more. I want to read all of them because you're so sweet. Like, Cami Urbina says, I'm so mesmerized by your energy and friendship. Ooh! Very sweet. And they make me feel very good.
It's cupcake driven. Listen, like, that's the secret, is like, just make cupcake. You don't even have to make them together. Just watch your friend decorating cupcakes.
Yeah. Watch your friend
included or not
sweep
included.
up underneath a child who just is obsessed with putting eyeballs on cupcakes.
Eyeballs. That's the secret. Make cupcakes with your friends.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway, I normally screenshot them and send them to Sabrina if I see them. So that was very sweet. That was when I didn't want to send you. I wanted to see you
because you wanted to see it. How do you like your romance novels?
Ooh. I know.
It makes me really happy.
I know. I haven't been called saucy in a while. I don't know if I've ever been called saucy.
I don't know if I've ever been called saucy. I like it.
I love it.
I love it. I love being just a saucy little podcaster.
Saucy wench, I think.
That's exactly what I was just thinking. I was like, I feel like it's saucy wench. I'm okay with being a saucy wench.
I've been called bawdy, like BAWDY, but normally I have to spell it in order for people to understand what I'm saying.
They're like, oh, yeah, you are a body.
You are corporeal. So
you saucy wench. All right, listener. Keep being a badass and love yourself as much as you love the wedding venue of your nightmares and your family's hilarious comments about it.
Walking through carpet puddles while your mom
I had a
praised the rosary.
I had a visceral reaction to the wet carpet melody.
I know.
Because I could feel it.
I know. Love yourself as much as you love just thinking about a stud looking you dead in your beautiful face.
All right, time to go. Bye.
I didn't even get to say what the stud said.
What did the stud say?
Heaving Bosoms is produced by us, Melody Carlisle and Sabrina Bradley. Editing is done by Melody Carlisle.
Our theme music is by the incredible singer-songwriter Brittany Fonts, and our art is by ultra-talented author Kate Pryor. If you like our show, remember to follow us on your favorite podcast app, rate us 5 stars, leave a nice review, and of course, tell all your friends about us, even if they don't read romance.
If you want to get in touch, you can email us at heavingbosomspodcast@gmail.com. If you want more of us, visit patreon.com/heavingbosomspodcast. You can also find us on Instagram @heavingbosoms, on TikTok @heaving_bosoms, and in our Facebook group, the Heaving Bosoms Geriatric Friendship Cult.
Head over to our website to sign up for our newsletter, get our Reading Embrace printable, and check out my audiobooks at heavingbosoms.com. All right, we'll be back next week with more swoons and snark. See you then.